Thank you very much, Jeff. And now, Trump supporter Jeffrey Lord. He served as political director for Ronald Reagan, and Penny Nance, the author of Feisty and Feminine, a rallying cry for conservative women, also CEO of the conservative group Concerned Women for America, and David Gergen, who served as advisor to 4 presidents, including Reagan and Bill Clinton. Penny, were Trump's comments inappropriate or not?
Well, I learned a new word, Aaron, which is quite a feat considering, my age and that, I have kids. But so I thought that was interesting. But, really, I think we've got to think about his electability. I mean, Republicans have to carry women. Women have carried every presidential election since 1964. We're the majority of general election voters. So I hope the Republicans will think very clearly and thoughtfully when they go into the voting booth about who they cast their vote for and whether they can actually win in a general.
So Jeff, you've heard in the piece there from Jeff Zeleny, comments Trump has made about Carly Fiorina, Megyn Kelly, others. Women made up, to Penny's point, more than half of the vote in the last presidential election, 53%. Among women in a head-to-head, Clinton gets 54, Trump gets 33. Mm-hmm. How does that math work for Donald Trump?
Because when you get to the election itself in November, if the two of them are the eventual nominees, people make their choices based on a lot of the economy is first and foremost always. Secondarily is foreign affairs, in this case ISIS, etc. And that goes for women. Evangelicals, across the board. All of these folks are not to be pigeonholed into one category or another, because by the time you get to an election, there really is a choice to be made. And I would say this also, Aaron. There is a history of this in American history. William F. Buckley once said of Harry Truman that he was the nation's most conspicuous vulgarian, to which Harry Truman replied that they said the same thing about Lincoln. Both of them were correct. So in other words, we've been sort of down this path before, and my point is it didn't hurt the nominee, it didn't hurt Lincoln, it didn't hurt Harry Truman, and I'm not sure it's going to hurt Donald Trump.
And to that point, David Gergen, all right, so let me take the other side of the woman coin here. In a new Quinnipiac poll, Trump's support is split evenly, pretty much 27% women, 30% men. That's pretty even. Ted Cruz, 29% men, 19% women. If you look at it from this poll, Donald Trump doesn't seem to have a problem with women at all. Is it possible that many of them just see him as talking like a regular person? To Jeff's point, he uses vulgarity. So what?
Listen, let's go back in a little history. Yes, Harry Truman was vulgar at times. So was Abraham Lincoln. I've had the privilege of knowing 8 presidents over time, and I can tell you this, all of them have used profanities at times, but there's a distinction. They use them in private. They didn't go out and say things like this in public. They didn't want to demean the office. And it is unfortunate. It's sad that Jeff Lord has to come out here and defend this. Donald Trump ought to can it.
Jeff?
Well, David, I know one of those presidents was not Lincoln. I'm kidding you here. But I just think, let me make just sort of a general observation about the culture. Let me just make an observation about the culture, where we're all aware of the comment sections on social media. And I have to say, I am always astounded when I read these things. No matter, and this has nothing to do with being liberal or conservative. They are frequently vulgar. They are off the charts sometimes. I'm wondering if this is not sort of in the culture from movies and television and all of this kind of thing, and that Donald Trump in that sense is a reflection
may be part of a little culture, Jeff.
Aaron, if I could.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I honestly, perhaps, yes, the F-bomb has permeated our culture, and apparently there's a new word. But that is not what we aspire to. And our president, we expect to be better. And so I really think this is what's catching up with Donald Trump in Iowa. He is probably not going to win Iowa. This is why Ted Cruz is gaining on him and perhaps surpassed him at this point. And that looks like that's the trend. This is a big issue for him. I think that his likability factor for women is going to be a problem, and it's definitely going to be a problem in a general election.
Which is an interesting point, again, because as I point out, Ted Cruz does a lot worse with women. But Penny, let me ask you about, when you heard about what Donald Trump said to Carly Fiorina, who could vote for that face? People say, oh, he just likes beautiful women. It's so nasty. So we actually looked up all the times Donald Trump has used the word beautiful. He is obsessed with beautiful things and beautiful people. Let me play it.
I'm a big builder. I do beautiful work.
The door's going to be a big, beautiful door.
It's beautiful to this day. It's magnificent in Lower Manhattan.
They finally used a beautiful picture of me.
He calls himself beautiful, Penny. Is it possible he's not being sexist when he talks about looks and things like that, that this is just the way he talks?
I don't know. I don't know him personally, but I know enough about him to know that there's some deep concerns there, but not just about the way he talks. It's about the way that he flip-flops on issues, the fact that we don't really know where he stands on Planned Parenthood. Conservatives aren't sure what he thinks about gay marriage. We're not really sure what he thinks about a number of things because he's changed his mind every other day. There's some deep concerns about his reliability, about his electability, and that's really what people are asking themselves as they get closer to a deadline where they really have to vote. And that's why we're seeing his numbers slip.
Jeff, what do you think about that? When Donald Trump, though, he loves the words beautiful, to talk about himself.
I mean, I know him at this point fairly well, and I've heard him use the term. I mean, he's into you know, beautiful and amazing and things of that nature. I think this is just, you
also
know, every
loser.
Single personality. And what? I'm sorry?
And also the word loser. He likes that one a lot, too.
And also the word. But what I'm suggesting is every personality, as we get to know them, has, you know, tics, if you will, verbal tics, and maybe those are his. But let me get back here for a second to Hillary Clinton, because I do think this is important. When I asked Donald Trump about a year ago what he would do, because the complaint from conservatives was that their candidates didn't fight back in the media, and they didn't fight the media, they didn't stand up. And he said, what he has now illustrated in spades, that he would do that. Hillary Clinton, among a number of women, Juanita Broderick, etc., has this image of being a bully herself. So when I hear her say this, there are a raft of women who are more than willing to stand up in public at this point and say that she herself is one.
All right,
and I think that when you get to the women's vote and that kind of thing, I think this is going to play out.
All right, we're going to hit pause for a moment. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Of course, David will be back with me out front next. Happy birthday, Ted Cruz. The latest national poll has Cruz neck and neck with